from their services. There's thousands of sailors, Coast Guardsmen, soldiers, airmen, Marines involved in this operation. We came upon some intelligence some time ago that the drug cartels, as a result of COVID-19, were going to try to take advantage of the situation and try to infiltrate additional drugs into our country. As we know, there's 70,000 Americans die on an average annual basis to drugs. That's unacceptable. We're at war with COVID-19, we're at war with terrorists, and we are at war with the drug cartels as well. This is the United States military. You will not penetrate this country. You will not get past Jump Street. You're not going to come in here and kill additional Americans. And we will marshal whatever assets are required to prevent your entry into this country to kill Americans. The bottom line is you're not going to get through. Now is not the time to try to penetrate the United States with illegal drugs to kill Americans. With the United States military, we will defend our country regardless of the cost.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, as the fake news liars continue to tell the public that these naval hospital ships in LA and New York City are empty and not being used efficiently, we're going to take a look at my sources, which seem to say that they are being used to help the victims of this global human sex trafficking trade. And we're going to take a deep dive into what that means, plus what Q has told us in the past about all of this, and a bunch of other breaking news stories that you guys are going to want to stick around and check out. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I'm your host, Craig. You guys know the drill. I say thank you if you've hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and check the all box so you get notified as soon as all of these videos get posted here to the channel. Today, we always start where we leave off. We left off at Q post 3908. We're picking up right there. Haven't been any new posts, but let me tell you something. I have my sources giving me some pretty crazy information that we're going to cover here first. Then we're going to get into some of the great reporting by American Report, the AmericanReport.org. Mary Fanning and Alan Jones. We're going to talk about this new story about Peter Strzok, Iran, the NLOS, non-line of sight, military equipment that may or may not have been distributed to a company that was allowed to continue to thrive and then also own ports inside the United States. This is a major story. We're going to cover that in detail. Plus, we're going to look at a bunch of other breaking news from across the spectrum. So you guys are going to want to stick around and check out that and a whole lot more. But first, I got to let you know this video is brought to you in part by RedPillLiving.com/justinformed. Use the coupon code JUSTINFORMED to get 10% off today. Use the link in the description to check out all their great products. They have Carbon 60, the Great Awakening Coffee, which is really great. Plus, these liposomal vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin B12, all these things can help with your immunity. And right now, what's more important than getting healthy and making sure you take care of your body? So go check out RedPillLiving.com/justinformed today using the link in the description and the coupon code JUSTINFORMED to get 10% off. So today we're going to pick up basically with this story. You have these major outlets coming out now and saying that the CDC doctors screwed up bigly and that the United States Comfort in New York Harbor sits idle with 3 patients and that the one in LA, the Mercy, only has 15 patients. So this is the official narrative that seems to be reported on a regular basis. But what I'm hearing from my sources is a totally different story, and probably for very good reasons. What I'm hearing right now from my sources is that there's a very high probability that they're bringing in the rescued children aboard these ships currently, and they've been saving them. This is really, something I had to get out there really quickly because it's an important and huge story, I think, for everyone to understand. We've been seeing what's coming out of it, as was reported over here on Twitter with George, putting up this photo from the USNS where it shows a victim being treated by doctors. I'm not saying that particular person is an actual victim. I'm just saying that these pictures are coming out and they're working to help these individuals who are non-COVID patients. I wonder, right? But we're going to take a deep dive into what that means and what Q has told us in the past about it. Here you also have Joe M on Twitter saying evidence pouring in that the COVID-19 shutdown is being exploited by patriots to conduct a sweeping human trafficking crackdown, paralyzing the deep state's main source of revenue. Heat on Maduro and military moves in Central America is not just about drugs. This is the storm. So another thing I've been hearing from my sources, and we've talked about this on the show, if you guys are a regular listener, you will know that I've talked about this going back at least I would say, a couple months, because that's when I started hearing this about how the cartels are one of the main targets of President Trump in the next coming weeks and months. And do you think it's a coincidence that as President Trump and the military are working to start taking down the cartels, that all of a sudden you have this global pandemic? Do you think it's possibly a coincidence that these same cartels are involved in the global organization that is responsible for human sex trafficking, and that these organizations are employed by major state actors? That's why the military is going after state and non-state actors, because they understand that there's this, reciprocity and interconnectedness, if you will, of all of these global networks, and how they've basically been used for decades, if not millennia, going all the way back to the beginning of time, as a way to facilitate this. I mean, at first it's regional, then it's global and low. It grows. And that's where we're at right now. It's human trafficking, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, gun trafficking, you name it. There is a global trade for it. And going after a very key point in Central America or South America, like Maduro's Venezuela, is the nexus, I believe, of where Chinese influence is. And China is corrupt. If you guys didn't know that, China is a corrupt, or is run by a very corrupt party, the Communist Party. And the Communist Party believes in bribery and believes in, basically paying off officials. And this is how it has folded out into the mainstream. And that's what President Trump is cracking down on, because, when we talk about the deep state, we're talking about an interconnectedness that many don't understand. President Trump did launch this major counter-narcotics operation just recently, but I believe these listen, we've been studying these people for quite some time. Don't ask me how I know that, but I can tell you right now, my sources have been saying that this has been ongoing for quite some time. We've been studying the cartels. We know who they are. We know where they are. And we've basically been waiting for an opportunity to do exactly what we're doing right now. We've shut everything down, made it impossible for them to move. And now we're going to take them out one by one by one. And if you don't believe me, that's fine. I'm just here to tell you what I think and what I'm hearing. But again, the U.S. will increase its military presence in the Caribbean. Now, this is from April 1st, talking about drug trafficking funding Maduro. Well, Maduro's regime is a socialist communist regime that's closely tied and backed by the Chinese communists and the Russians. So you have to understand what we're fighting here is something much bigger. President Trump has been forced into a position to fight all of these cartels, these global cartels, globalist cabal of Satanists. And then also you have foreign state actors. Then you also have other non-state actors who are involved in this. It's a very complex web that's weaved together. And it goes from everything, like I said, from drugs to guns to human trafficking and the rest. This is really what we're combating on a global scale. So when you see this virus on the news every day, what you're not seeing, what they're not telling you, what they're not showing you is that we are at war. As President Trump has said, he's a wartime president. We're fighting a hidden enemy. It's the hidden enemy is the cartels. They're not a state actor. It's not like going to war against a state like another country, or going to war against like terrorism. It's going to war against an underground hidden society that is engaged in this global black market of trade, illicit trade, that has been able to infiltrate pretty much all facets of government. That's why you see people who are resigning. That's why you see people who have to, mysteriously step down for no real reasons. And I'm not saying that's in every case, but I'm saying in a lot of cases that was what we've been seeing over the years. Now they finally, in my opinion, been able to get something major off against the United States. Because think about it. These global organizations of traffickers and smugglers, they don't want to be caught. So any opportunity they have to basically stop it all, to shut us down, to put us out of business, they're going to take. And if you're not, if you don't think that's related to what's happening with this coronavirus, again, I have a bridge to sell you. So that's where that's my opinion. I'm just giving it to you. I'm putting it out there. I hope you guys do your own research. But, the State Department's even saying right now, amidst this entire, operation, if you will, that you can't leave. You can leave, but you are going to want to try to come home, I should say, if you can now, because they may not be available soon. Telling everyone, look, we're shutting it down. We're shutting down the global trade of all of it because they've hidden a lot of this in plain sight. I mean, human traffickers sometimes, in some cases, will board a plane with their victims. And because a lot of these victims are brainwashed, manipulated, threatened, they're there because their families are being held hostage, or they're there because they've been brainwashed and abused in such a way. You have to understand that shutting that down and going after it, and that's just one facet of it. That doesn't count the drugs. That doesn't count the guns and the death that is brought by this scourge. So maybe I'm just getting a little too much into it, but I want to go back and read all the posts where Q, talked about trafficking. Remember this. Here, what does money buy? This is from November 2017. Why are the events in Saudi Arabia relevant to the above? Who is the financial backer for human trafficking? Who is the broker for underage sex? Think Saudi Arabia. How does Facebook and Instagram play a role in the capture? Think Taken. What does he mean when he says think Taken? He means that scene in Taken where you have all these people from around the world on the internet bidding on a woman who was kidnapped. A young woman who was just kidnapped out of college in the middle of a major city. And then all of a sudden she's on a yacht and there's an auction between a bunch of sick, rich people from different countries, sheikhs and top oligarchs and top corporate leaders, bidding millions or hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars for the opportunity to take this person. You think that it's all fantasy. You think that these movies get these ideas from nowhere? It says, why do select senior political officials have foundations and institutes? The Clinton Foundation, the McCain Foundation. Maybe we should do a little more digging on those and understand who was backing them. Who were the players? That's what people are forgetting. What is money laundering? What does money buy? Why is this relevant? Again, it goes back to the arrests in Saudi Arabia, the connections to the Podesta group, and it talks about senior political officials who may be tied to this. You guys have to understand the gravity of what we're talking about here. Now, going to the next post where Q mentions it, he says, here, what would happen if texts originating from an FBI agent, several internals, discuss the assassination possibility of the President of the United States or members of his family? So this is what Q has told us in the past is possibly the evil that we're up against here, right? And Q even says in that post, we haven't even started the drops regarding human trafficking and sacrifices yet. And this is going back to January of 2018. And yes, we did get those posts coming out later. Remember what McCain was doing with ISIS members here and Bakr al-Baghdadi. Oh yeah, no big deal that they're meeting over there in Syria. Don't pay any attention to that, right? Think about what Q has been telling us for quite some time, how the Gmail drafts, we talked about this ad nauseum. What was being mentioned in Tony Podesta's emails when he was talking about wet work? How did they possibly secretly communicate using Google? Instead of sending emails over the internet, you go in and you write a draft and then you save that draft and then you share the password and the account information with other people, and then they can go and look at the drafts, trying to avoid the possible intel collection against them. What they don't understand is that every keystroke is saved. But that is, it's exactly what we're up against here. They were sharing ICE border patrol classified intel schedules to safeguard themselves for their trafficking operations. This is what Q has already told us in the past was happening, possibly. So remember, that's what we're up against here. Sharing of classified intel from the FBI to safeguard their private operations. This is the stuff that we're going after, guys. You have to understand this is connected. Muslim Brotherhood, cross-coordination with UK assets, pro in SIS in UK intelligence. Ooh, I wonder how this is all connected. If you don't understand, or Ukrainian president, not UK intelligence, but that is SIS, right? This is exactly how it all connects together. And of course, Edward Snowden and making the PRISM and the X key score and all of these different classified data collection tools, that surveillance tools that were being used by the NSA to track these people. That's what Admiral Rogers was putting together. That's what Flynn tried to blow the whistle on. That's what we have been in a fight against for 3 years, guys. I'm just telling you all this to go and look back at the information we already have been given. We have so much more than we know that makes everything that's happening today make that much more sense, in my opinion. So I'm putting it out there for you guys to look at. And, you know, all of these other companies that have been involved in covering up for this and allowing it to happen, they're going to be held accountable. But what price are we willing to pay as the public? Remember, that's what Q asked us. What price are we willing to pay? Look at where we are. We've lost half of our country's economy overnight. Millions of jobs lost. You know, we're being punished for trying to shut this down. But what price are you willing to pay to save those children? What price are you willing to pay to stand up for what's right? What price are you willing to pay to help and shout and scream it from the mountaintop that we're going to expose these people and that we're going to hold them accountable and that they're going to pay legally and lawfully for these crimes that they've committed? I'm asking you that. That's my question to you. Q has asked it before. Not to mention what happened in Haiti. Remember this quote Q shared with us about the person who was doing this documentary on child trafficking in Haiti? Right? Child trafficking victims who spent their formative years servicing the carnal desires of men, often foreigners who are 3, 4, 5, or 6 times their age. Their madam tells me that many of their customers are Western humanitarian workers who've come here to help rebuild Haiti after the recent run of natural disasters. What does that sound like? What did the Clinton Foundation do after the Haiti earthquakes? How many billions of dollars did they bring together for that effort? And how much of that money actually made it to the people of Haiti? What was Laura Silsby doing in Haiti? What was she caught doing in Haiti and arrested for? Who got her off the hook on that one? The Obama administration? You have to ask these questions, people. But nobody seems to remember. It's a lot of people, you know, who are new to this, I understand, but a lot of people out there just seem to have a short memory when it comes to understanding that, you know, Q told us before then, after that, saying, why are human trafficking arrests surging? They've been surging. Look at all the rings that have been broken up domestically. Now we're going international, people. That's what this all is, in my opinion. So, of course, you can go through all these, and then it talks about Epstein Island, and this is one of the ones that I want to remind everybody, too. It's not just about the sex trafficking. Will the rich and powerful influence the court to prevent the unsealing? And that was talking about this information from Epstein. There was a sex resort, according to Q, possibly on the top level of this island, but what did they do beneath it? And what kind of evil were they worshiping? And we're going to stand up for all the victims of this evil, in my opinion. So, and remember, that was March of 2013, so 1 year ago, pretty much. And that's when Q was telling us that sex trafficking is real. Guys, I don't know about you, but I'm sick to my stomach when I see this. This is why I can't sleep at night, and this is why I will not stop uncovering this truth. So, never forget that. Now, a few things before we get going, a few more stories here. The exclusive former DOJ assistant U.S. attorney admits the FBI examined Seth Rich's computers and no 302. Yeah, there you go. And of course, here you have the Huffington Post, the same people who attacked this channel, the same people who are, you know, out there spreading this fake news, disinformation propaganda every day. They say, don't listen to Senator Tom Cotton about the coronavirus, yet here we are today. This was from all the way back in January of 2020. I guess everybody has really changed their tune now. And then finally, I want to talk here about the AmericanReport.org. Mary Fanning, Alan Jones, great reporting. This was their newest story, and it talks about Peter Strzok's wife, Melissa Hodgman, was enforcement assistant director at the Securities Exchange Council that when they dropped the insider trading case against Dia Jafar, while Obama officials placed Jafar's U.S. blacklisted boss, Saddam's WMD mastermind, Dr. Jafar Dia Jafar, inside the wire at Port Canaveral, and the FBI knew. This is in their just great, intrepid investigative reporting here. I'm going to read some of this story because it is not that long, but it is packed full of very thought-provoking information. So go check out the AmericanReport.org, Mary Fanning, Alan Jones, and their reporting. But listen to this. Melissa, and this has to do with the non-line of sight weapon system that was sold by the Club K container by the Russian government. And you're going to see how this all ties together. And if you guys don't know what that is, I'll play a video for it in a minute. But it says, Melissa Hodgman, wife of former or fired FBI director or assistant director of counterintelligence Peter Strzok, was the assistant director of the Securities Exchange Commission's Enforcement Division in 2015 when the SEC dropped without explanation its multi-year $3.7 million insider trading case against Dia Jafar, a Dubai trader working for the former chief of Saddam Hussein's nuclear weapons program, Dr. Dia Jafar. Perplexingly, during the same time frame, Obama administration officials awarded a 35-year cargo container terminal lease at Florida's Port Canaveral to Gulftainer, the United Arab Emirates-based cargo container seaports management company co-owned by Dr. Dia Jafar's Iraqi brother and business partner Hamid Dia Jafar. Hamid Dia Jafar had decades earlier hatched an illegal scheme to finance Saddam's and Dr. Dia Jafar's WMD programs in a plot known as Oil for Superweapons. The Iraqi Jafar brothers targets the U.S. and Israel. Oh, it gets even worse. Listen. Options trader Dia Jafar is the general manager, this guy right here, is the general manager of Gulftainer affiliate Uruk project management company, where he works for CEO and co-founder of Uruk, Dr. Dia Jafar, a rogue Iraqi nuclear physicist with the same name as the trader. Now, that's why this gets confusing, because they all have the same name, basically. Dr. Dia Jafar is widely recognized as the father of Iraq's nuclear program and the father of Iraq's uranium enrichment program. Here's a little bio shot here. Now, it goes on. Hodgman's unfaithful husband, Peter Strzok, as one of the FBI's top counterintelligence officials with specialized experience in Russia and in the use of weapons of mass destruction by terrorists inside the United States, should have been acutely aware of and should have blocked Gulftainer from setting up operations in the United States, particularly inside the wire of a critical infrastructure port housing berths used by U.S. Navy submarines, U.S. Military Sealift Command, and the U.S. Coast Guard. The fact that Port Canaveral is adjacent to NASA's Kennedy Space Center and to the U.S. Air Force launch pads used to send classified defense satellites into space is another reason why Strzok and the FBI should have blocked Gulftainer. Now, here's a little clip of Peter Strzok's father, Peter Strzok Sr., who worked in Iran and was very positive, supporter of the regime. Look at this. As a youth, Strzok lived inside Iran, where his father, also named Peter Strzok, worked. After the 1979 Iranian Revolution, Strzok's father expressed admiration and support for the Islamic regime's mullahs, citing the order, quote-unquote, that mullahs and their theocratic rule brought to the Iranian nation. All right. This is who we're dealing with here. The SEC initially filed an airtight amended complaint against Dia Jafar and won the support of a federal judge who denied defendant Dia Jafar's motion to dismiss an SEC lawsuit alleging that he had illegally made millions of dollars by trading Onyx Pharmaceuticals, pharmaceutical company, options using insider information. In September of 2015, however, the SEC, without explanation, snatched defeat from the jaws of victory with their abrupt reversal, where the SEC stunningly dropped its $3.7 million multi-year insider trading case against Dia Jafar. By 2015, the SEC case had been attracting considerable unwanted attention from financial press outlets around the world for 2 years, threatening to blow the lid off a national security nightmare involving Iraqi WMDs, Russia's Club K container missile system, Port Canaveral, and Russia, that is on track to become the essence of the Obama administration and its breathtaking acts of treason, according to this article. So, Gulftainer is this company that has extensive ties to Russian state-owned enterprises. During the same general time frame, the Iraqi Jafar family's company, Gulftainer, went into at least 5 deals with the Russians, with Russia's military-industrial complex, a Russian state-owned petroleum company, a Russian bank, and Russian seaports. Gulftainer entered into a 2010 joint venture with Russia's Rostec, the state-owned military technology company that owns Rosoboron Export, the exporter of Russia's Trojan Horse Club K container missile system. The Club K is an advanced weapon disguised as a standard intermodal shipping container that launches Russian caliber cruise missiles carrying lethal nuclear, chemical, biological, electromagnetic pulse, or conventional payloads. Yet, the Obama administration, knowing that Golf-Tainer had partnered with Rostec, the Russian state-owned enterprise that exports Club K Trojan Horse asymmetrical weapon systems, placed Golf-Tainer inside the wire at Port Canaveral, 1,000 feet from the Trident submarine turning basin used by the U.S. Navy and the British Royal Navy. In 2011 and 2013, Golf-Tainer entered deals with Russia's port of Ust-Luga near St. Petersburg, one of Russia's ports designated for handling nuclear materials. President Trump placed sanctions on Rosoboron export in 2018. And you guys can read the rest of the story at theamericanreport.org if you want. But to give you an idea of what these Club K container missile systems can do, we've talked about this here on the show before. They look like your standard shipping container, but they can hold a very complex weapon system, which can be deployed basically anywhere in the world and used against anyone. And this can even be used and deployed by non-state actors, which is why it is terrifying. And that's why we need to continue to expose this and to ask the question how we were allowed to come to a point where this kind of technology is being connected to these kind of individuals who are being allowed access to ports domestically here in the United States. And I hope that as a part of a major operation that maybe the military is actually looking for this kind of infiltration as well as the corruption. Because when I talk about the human trafficking, it's also weapons trafficking, right? These are weapons of mass destruction. These are weapons that could start global wars, and these are things that have to be found and basically destroyed or removed if they are in place inside of our own borders. Think of how easy it would be to sneak, shipping containers into the United States, and that's a major story that we need to look at very closely. So you see, you can deploy these satellite radar stations, whether it's via drone or via actual radar tower. Then you can also have the containers that are based that can use that as a directional system, whether it's by ship, train, truck, or whatever. They can use that to find targets. I mean, this is big, guys. And it's a story that's been being covered here on the American Report for a while now. I encourage everyone to go check it out. But that's pretty much where I think we'll leave it for today. A few more things before we go, though. I always like to remind everybody, thank you for watching and sharing. Watch these videos, share them on your social media, get the word out that way. Also, don't forget to leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to think about everything that we covered here today. And if you have anything to contribute, get that information up here and let's post it and share it and get the word out. But also want to remind you, this video is also sponsored in part by Brave Browser. Download it today for free using the link in the description. It's a better internet browser than the one you're using. If you're using Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, whatever, it's better. It blocks the ads. It makes your internet experience that much better. And when you download it, install it, and run it on your computer today, they'll make a contribution to this channel, so it's free for you. Use the link in the description to download the Brave Browser today. Also, you can find me on Twitter at JUSTINFORMED is the Twitter handle. We can have a conversation outside the channel there. And I'm on the official website for Just Informed Talk, justinformednews.com. It's a great place to go get some information on the latest videos, links to different websites, and more information there. You can also find me on the backup channel here, bitshoot.com/justinformedtalk. That's a great way to connect as well. A few other ways you can contribute are both financial. Patreon, patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. You guys keep this channel alive with your contributions, and I'm thankful you guys have kept this channel going for this long, because YouTube, big tech, everyone's tried to put it out of business. Because what do? We tell the truth. We talk about things the mainstream media won't talk about. So you supporting this is keeping it going. I also have a GoFundMe set up if you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation. Links to everything that we've talked about here today will be in the description. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And I have a special verse I want to share with you today out of 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14 through 17. And it talks about this being a ministry of life and death. And for this episode, when I was reading this, I can feel God here with us, okay? And I want to share these words with you. It says, "But thanks be to God who always puts us on display in Christ and spreads through us in every place the scent of knowing Him. For to God we are the fragrance of Christ among those who are being saved and among those who are perishing. To some we are a scent of death leading to death, but to others a scent of life leading to life. And who is competent for this? For we are not like the many who make a trade in God's message for profit, but as those with sincerity we speak in Christ as from God and before God." And that's my message to you. We're in this together, and we're in this because we understand it's about life and death. We're not doing this to get famous, and we're not doing this to do a LARP. We're doing this because we're trying to save lives. We're trying to help save people's, not just their souls, right, which is the first and foremost thing, but their physical lives. There are people in this world who are being mistreated. There are people who are being abused. There are people who are being trafficked. There are people who are being held hostage. And if we can help those people, instead of doing what previous administrations and leaders of our country have done, then I think we should be doing that. Because it seems to me it's very possible that the leaders who were supposedly doing what's good for us before were telling us that they were doing all these great things, but then in reality they were basically allowing it to happen, turning a blind eye, enriching themselves from it. And now you see a president who stood up to them, and look, it's cost him so much, it's cost us all so much. But we take solace in the Lord above. We know that our mission is right, and we know that we are standing for what's right. And that's what I think is the most important thing we can take away from all this. Share this with your family, friends, loved ones. I'm begging you, please understand that we are in this. This is a ministry of life or death that we are here preaching. We are talking about God. We're talking about what's good, and we're talking about good versus evil, and we will overcome it. We will conquer it. But you just have to continue to persevere, stand for what's right, live righteously, do unto others, and help those in need. And put your faith in Christ and put your trust in the Lord, and you will be saved. And embrace the Holy Spirit that lives inside of you. Spread that, share that with your family, friends, loved ones. That's my message to you today. But that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. I want to say thanks for watching this episode. Remember to come here, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and hit it, punch it, tap it, headbutt it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed. And God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.